Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Costa Rica Crypto. So today, for a little bit of a change, I'm sitting down with somebody in the space who I love and admire, who I've become good friends with over the last little while, who has their own YouTube station and has now moved on to some really, really cool things in the space that I absolutely love. I couldn't think of a better person to do it. But I guess before we get into that, Michael, can you give a little bit of an introduction? Let's hear kind of where you came from. And I think the context of where you came from is important in what we're talking about. Because it alleviates, maybe some thoughts that people might have. We'll get into that in a little bit, but welcome, man. It's awesome to be able to sit down on the other side of the table. You've promoted so many of my projects, and I think that what you're doing is super cool. So,
well, thank you. Yeah. So context for MBlu.
Context.
I'm just a small town boy. Jesus. I was, I'm 50 years old. I turned 50 in September and spent that in Haiti with our adopted daughter, Islan, who's hopefully coming home in April-ish. It's been a 3-year-long process, and wow, what a journey that has been. I mean, what you learn about yourself and the patience. You think you're patient in crypto, guys and gals. Boy, wait until you get into the international adoption process, especially in Haiti, where the government shuts down every other day due to riots. And you got a girl over there that you just loving, and you want to bring her home to your family. We got 2 boys, 10 and 7, that are just anxiously waiting to have their sister and play with her. And, we're going to spend Christmas without her. So it's a very challenging time, but also a very growing and revealing time. Talking about, patience again, and just trusting the unfolding process of life, and I'm really one of those individuals that, feels like there is a thing called destiny, and then there's also choice within that destiny. So I'm just trusting the process of that unfolding. But to dial it back to MBlu as a boy, I come from a very loving family, great relationship with my father, who's still alive. My mother and stepmother have both passed away. And again, when you have somebody you love like that, and you lose them, then that's another whole awakening of the human spirit and, who you are as an individual, and, that whole feedback loop, and, what is life and what's the meaning of life? I went through college, through high school, and I was kind of I always had one good best friend type of guy, right? Yeah. I was just, I wasn't ever like the popular guy, I was never the jock. I was just kind of like the wanted to be well-dressed guy that, I wanted to be well-dressed. I wanted to be, popular and, noticed. But, I would be wearing bell-bottom jeans and, high water jeans and funky shoes. And so anyways, that was a good, a self-worth phase of MBlu, learning who am I in relation to, all that is, and in the comparing yourself to one another. So I always had one good friend. I was never like the life of the party, but always wanted to be.
Yeah, didn't we all?
So, but things shifted for me, kind of in a sense. I went to after high school. I went into the Marine Corps, and I thrived there. As hard as it was, and I can't say I wouldn't repeat it, but I wouldn't want to repeat it. Yeah. Because it was just, you hear guys, in boot camp, falling asleep, sobbing in their pillow. But I took because I was tall, I guess. I was tall and really skinny, but I was tall. So I guess that gave me a sense of, authority. But, yeah. So they made me one of the squad leaders in boot camp. So, I kind of stepped up and became this leader within the boot camp Marine Corps realm. and excelled. I was in really good shape. So I was always like one of the first, the runs and the pull-ups, and, I could do like 30 or 40 pull-ups back then. It was just insane. I was a skinny, tall guy, right? So I didn't have a whole lot to pull up.
Yeah, I'm sure you were in good shape, man. Again, I'm sure you did fine.
Yeah, I was running like a 5.5 minute mile back then.
It's incredible, man.
So I don't know if that's good anymore. I think back then it was good, but I think, people have just gotten faster over the years. So I'm not sure what good is anymore. But anyways, so then I went into, fortunately, my dad, because I was going to go in full time, right?
Yep.
I was all, hoorah, baby, let's do this, Semper Fi. But fortunately, he said, hey, why don't you go in, before boot camp, so why don't you sign up as a reserve? And then after boot camp and your MOS training, which is a total of about 6 months, then you can decide whether or not you want to, go full-time, enlist full-time, right? So, okay, so I'll do that. So fortunately I did that, because after the boot camp, the MOS training, I was like, this isn't my cup of tea, right? So I'll do the reserve. I'll do the, the weekend a month and 2 weeks a year, which I did. And it was, it was hard at times, but also fun and rewarding, and met a lot of really great people doing that. I went to college at the same time as, UN Marine Corps Reserves. After that, I actually ended up in Hawaii for a period.
Cool.
I was actually modeling back then too. So nice. a Marine to a model. I was on my way to Italy, actually. I just signed with some agency in Italy. I'm just blast from the past, just thinking of all this stuff. I haven't really thought about it in a long time, but wow. So I was on my way to Italy, but I wanted to do a layover in Los Angeles, right? Just because I was maybe like 10 years old last time I've been to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to experience that. So I was going to take a week layover in Los Angeles on my way to Milan. And when I got into Los Angeles, I didn't know anybody, right? I was there all alone. I had a few bucks in my pocket, nothing to sneeze about, but, enough to sustain me for a month or two. And I just said, God, this feels right. Like, I think I need to stay here, right? Yeah. It's just like, I just followed my gut. And so I decided not to go to Italy. I stayed in LA, got a small, cheap apartment in Venice Beach,
Nice.
Lived there for a while. And then I ran out of money, and I said, oh shit, what am I going to do now? Because, now I'm in LA, and I was thinking, I didn't have any agency in LA, and, competition is fierce and you can't rely on that stuff. So basically I said, well, shit, what am I going to do? So I fortunately, my parents made me really self-reliant in the home. So I could fix things, I can clean, I can cook, anything domestic, I can handle, right? I can do construction, I can, just like, I'm a, what's that term? I'm a master of none, but right.
Trades, master of none.
Right. So that's kind of me in a nutshell, right? I can do a lot of shit, but I'm really not like a master at anything. So, maybe I am, but I'm not. I don't know what that thing is yet. So.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. So since I can do all this domestic stuff, and so I went and applied at this domestic agency, and I got hired as a house manager from a well-known TV and film producer in Hollywood, who's just done a whole myriad of things. And so that was exciting. So I ended up managing his properties, from gardeners to remodelers to, shopping to, everything, the whole gamut. And I did that for about 5 years, but at the same time, I was doing music. So, I learned how to play guitar when I was a child. And so I got this cheap guitar when I was living in LA, and I just started writing music, and I was going, oh, that's pretty good. And, whoa, I gotta somehow make that. And so I, hired some home recording producer guy to, record my first song. Right. And it turned out to be country, right?
Yeah.
Like I was listening to like Nirvana and stuff back then, but my writing came out country. So, I'd play it for him. He goes, yeah, okay. Oh yeah, I know where to go with this. And so, it turned out country, which was really fun, Yeah. But then as I learned more and I got more proficient with guitar, and I started asking him questions and watching how he would produce, then I started, buying this cheap, recording stuff myself, and I get better and better, and then I'd acquire more equipment. And then before long, I had my own studio, after years of building up my own studio and finally producing my own music, had a band, played all over Los Angeles, every major venue, multiple times, from, the House of Blues to the Rainbow Room to, you name it, we've played it, many times. We had a pretty good following to be a unknown LA band, right?
Yeah.
So we did that for about 5 years or so. And I kept producing, we had, as bands have, there's lots of drama and beautiful backup singers and bass players and, and weird dynamics. And so anyways, it was just end of the road for us. And so I just went in, producing and writing songs solo. And I still, to this day, write music and make music. So then, after that, after the band kind of broke up, I was at this stage where, holy shit, I was going to be a rock star. I was going to be the greatest rock star legend the world has ever seen. Right?
That's awesome. Yeah.
I had this, amazing, beautiful, fat ego, right? Just this juicy. I was.
Don't we all?
I was the shit, man. I was just like, so the band broke up, and I was like, oh shit, I'm all alone.
Yeah.
Now what? So I just went into this weird spiral downwards, and I didn't know. I was done with LA. I was kind of sick of it. Dreams crushed, and and I was smoking a lot of pot back then, like way out of balance. And so how, it's just then I got into this depressive cycle, and so the next thing you knew, I got rid of everything that I owned. I'm literally everything of it that I owned, just got rid of it, and got in my car and started driving to Albuquerque, New Mexico, to help a friend move. And at that time, I got a call from my mother, who was up in Oregon, and she was having some health issues and she needed help. So I heard her call.
Yeah.
And so after helping my friend move, I ended up in Oregon with my birth mother, who my mom and dad got divorced when I was around 5. So I'd never, other than weekends here and there, I never really bonded with her on a deep, meaningful level. So this allowed me that moment to kind of understand her and know her. So I went up there and, backtrack, because this is a really important piece of the puzzle. This is a life-changing piece of the puzzle, and I can't believe I skipped it.
Yeah,
but
let's hear it.
One of the last concerts that I gave with my band was on Melrose Boulevard at a place then called the Hollywood Gig. I don't know if it exists anymore. And we were playing every Saturday night there, going on about 11. So this, on one of the last shows, it could have been the last one, this beautiful blonde-haired petite girl was standing right there in the front of the stage. And I was like, I just saw her and I go, oh, whoa, who is this woman, And so I sang the whole concert to her. Just look in her eyes. I was just exuding it. I was just like, it's like, I was just giving her everything that I had, right? And
I love it.
And it was just love. I mean, it's like there's nobody else there. It was just me and her, and me communicating like, oh baby, right? You're the one. You're the one, right? And so after the concert, I went down and I asked her to come backstage. She came backstage, and now here I transitioned from this really confident front man, right? Like, bam, right? To dry mouth. I was trying to spit out a sentence like, like I was just complete, like, yeah. So anyways, you know, I looked at her and I said, you know, what I wanted to say is, hey, you know, come live with me forever, baby, you know. But what I said is like, I don't know what I said, but she communicated back to me, you know, oh, she had this thick Italian accent. And she goes, oh, I'm probably going to sound Indian because the only accent I can do is Indian for some reason. Yeah. It's just like, oh, amor, I must leave. We're leaving in the morning. I'm falling into Indian accent here. But, and so she was this was her last day in America. They've been traveling, I guess, for a month from coast to coast in a rented car. Yeah. Last night, they happened to be at the Hollywood gig. And so I gave her one of my band CDs and she took it and she started to walk out of the venue. And I just slowly kind of walked behind her, just kind of watching her walk away. We walked outside. I saw her reunite with her friends as well as her boyfriend of several years. I guess it was a very tumult. I can't even say that. It was a very on and off again relationship with her. He was kind of, in a nutshell, a jerk, right? Always cheating on her and blah, blah, blah. So it was destined to end anyways. So little MBlu just kind of expedited a little bit. But so as I watched them walk away, probably like at 2:30 in the morning, watching her walk down Melrose Boulevard and just feeling like, oh my God, she's my wife. We're going to be together. You know, she's the one. I don't know how. It's all in her hands, right? Because I don't have her information. She has a CD from my band. Yep. And I remember watching her. She was walking away, and then I saw her turn back. And I knew.
I love this. This is great. I love the way you're painting this picture. You have had a crazy life, man. Do you know that?
Oh, yeah, it's insane. And she right now, jumping fast forward, she's actually in the other room right now.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
Editing the Uplift Nation mission paper VR 2.1 because she looked at the last version and she's going, amore. What are you thinking about? You forgot this doesn't make sense. You got to do. Amore, there's no table of contents. There's nothing. Come on. You guys are so smart.
What's wrong with you?
You have educated people working on this. More smart than me, but I get it. What's wrong? She's in there. She's busy as hell, right? She's busy as hell. She's busy. Yeah. She goes, amore, I gotta find time to fix this. I have to. She's in there trying to get it done before she has to go pick up the kids from school. She's stressing because she has 18 other things on her list. She's a list person. She is, okay, long story short, okay? Yeah. So I went to Oregon, right? And to help my mom. Yeah. Again, ran out of money. I was broke. And so I'm thinking, oh shit, what do I do? Because then I was going to go to Austin basically and reinvent myself as a musician. Like that was the plan. I was going to go help mom. Then I'm going to not back to Austin. Never been to Austin, but heard about Austin, heard about the music scene. So, Health LA, I'm going to help mom out. Then I'm going to go escape to Austin, reinvent myself as a musician. Yeah. That was the big plan, right? Yep. So I ran out of money at my mom's house. Here I'm, almost 30, right? Now I'm at my mom, living with mom, right? Yeah. Broke, right? Ex Rockstar wannabe, still wannabe, right? And so then I go, shit, I have no money. I'm living with mom. Okay, what do I do? So, okay, I know construction. I can do construction. So even though I've been living as this rock star in LA for, last 5 years, with this huge ego. I mean, for me at that time to think of downgrading myself to a laborer, right? Like, holy shit, what if one of my fans see me swinging a hammer? Like, it's like, I was just, yeah, it's funny. So thinking back, it's funny. But back then it was like a real dilemma, like, fuck,
Yeah.
Really? Like looking in the mirror, like, really? What are you doing? Yeah. What? I mean, so there was an ad for a laborer position at a construction site. I applied for it, I got it, and then the owner of that company and I became really good friends. He was a musician, so I'd bring my guitar and a djembe to lunch, and he and I'd be jamming at lunchtime, at the djembe, and writing songs together. So we had a really good bond, and we flourished a friendship, and he actually became the best man at my wedding.
Nice.
So that kind of kept me that kept me from going to Austin, right?
Yeah. And
during this phase, I had left LA. I didn't even check my email. And this was 3 years ago, right? And so I only knew of .com and .net back then. And I had a Yahoo account and I hadn't checked it in months. But for some reason, I came home from work one day. I was taking probably the third layer of a roof off on a huge pitch in the winter, freezing, almost slipping off the roof several times.
I've been there.
Just hating life, like making $12 an hour.
Yeah.
And
for sure. I was
like, coming home, like just totally defeated, freezing, wet, dirty, and just like, what the hell am I doing? Like I'm making no money and killing myself. There's no future here. I sat down at my mom's computer.
Yeah.
For some reason, opened up my Yahoo email account, and I had hundreds of unanswered emails, right?
Yeah, man.
But the most recent email, literally like 20 minutes old, was a forward from my band's website. So the drummer was still managing the website for some reason. I don't know why, but anyways, he forwarded me this email contact request through the website, forwarded it to me, and I opened it up. And I'm paraphrasing, but it was like 2 lines that said, "Do you remember me on that magical night at the Melrose gig?" And immediately I was like, "Oh shit, that's her."
Yeah.
Oh, and then all of a sudden I got up, I typed, "Oh yeah, I've been waiting for you, period," send it off. And like within minutes, she responded back, and it was just this email romance that just back and forth. I'd come home from work, and the first thing I'd go,
check my email.
"Oh yeah, there she is," and then read it, and it'd be this long. And she would never write like a human would write. She would always write in prose, right? Yeah. Poetry, prose, these long. So like I'd ask her a direct question. She'd send back this beautiful pro that would kind of abstractly talk about my question. So I'd never get anything really hard or detailed about, what was going on with her. And so I could barely remember what she looked like. I mean, I remember she was cute, but what color eyes did she have? And I think she had blonde hair, but it was like, I couldn't really nail it down. Right. Yeah. But I just fell in love with her writing and how deep she was. I mean, we had, months and months of these just back and forth exchanges, multiple times a day, no phone calls at this time. It was just all email back and forth and, just really passionate. And, and she got me, to, we were trying to outdo each other, right? Like she'd send this beautiful pro and this beautiful writing, and I would try to dig deep into me and into my passion and write back, to her, in a way that would just make her fall. I wanted her to fall in love with my spirit as I have fallen in love with her spirit. So she gave me like this new purpose in life, right? Now it was no longer, what the hell am I doing? I'm not a rock star. I got to be a rock star, blah, 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 blah. It was like, how do I become the man worthy to get this woman in my life, like for real, right?
It's beautiful.
Like, what do I need to do? So
what I'm hearing, let me just interrupt for a second, but it seems like this was kind of that pivotal point where because I think like everybody has that in life. Like ultimately, to get to a point where you're able to, I mean, your ego is both your best ally and your worst friend. And I think everybody ultimately, to get to that next level of the person that they want to be, if they're kind of socially cognizant or have that emotional intelligence, want to be able to reduce this, because ultimately they're a more effective human. And when you're a more effective human, you can have better relationships and you can enjoy other people and you can kind of recruit people and just build the type of relationships that it takes to move ahead. Do you think that she was kind of that pivotal point where you started collecting this together a little bit? Was she kind of the one who drove that to where you are today? Because you're probably one of the most down-to-earth people I know. I know you've had a lot of success in your life, but you're probably one of the most like down-to-earth people I know who has had the same measure of success that you've had. Was she that tie-in? Do you think that was the?
Oh, totally. She saved my life. Literally. I mean, you know, it got so bad for me at one point before her, like months before her.
Yeah.
During that gap of really being disappointed and being mentally sick, meaning I was depressed. I wasn't treating myself with kindness. I wasn't, eating well. I wasn't, doing good things to myself.
Yeah.
And there's a point to where I was seriously wanting to exit this plane of existence. So, so if it wasn't for her, I don't know what MBlu would be today. I mean, I don't know if I would have had the balls to necessarily, end my own life, but I seriously thought about it, and I was at a place to where I don't want to be here anymore, fuck it, and it was that moment where I saw her and I was like, oh shit, there she is. Yeah. It gave me a whole new purpose. How do I become the man worthy of attaining that? Right.
That's beautiful, bro. Yeah.
Getting that. So I went into, I moved out of construction, went into sales, excelled at it, did well, ended up in precious metal sales. I'm kind of jumping ahead. Yep. Did really well in the precious metal industry, got it, understood the value of money and gold and silver and tangible assets, and opened up my own brokerage, and did really well in that industry. But I didn't like it at the same time because it was all centered around fear, right? The whole sales pitch for gold and silver is, you got to hedge against the failing dollar. If you don't get gold, you're asking for it. So it's just like you're selling. Even though I do believe that, I do believe that,
as do I,
right, that it's a very smart investment.
Yes.
I don't want to be selling the fear of it, right? And you're not going to get people to buy if you're, I mean, there's a few people that would buy, but because it just makes sense, but it's a fear sell, right?
Yeah.
Predominantly. And so living in that space of fear, of getting people to be afraid in order to buy, it just didn't, it just made me feel sick, and so I just had enough, right?
Love it.
But during the last hoorah of my precious metal days, I had a client that introduced me to Bitcoin by asking me, hey, what do you think of this Bitcoin thing? And I hadn't heard of it before then. And so just as a quick glossary overview, and went to somewhere and, maybe it was Zero Hedge, because Zero Hedge people really don't like digital assets for the most part. I think that's changing a little bit. But back then, every user on Zero Hedge was like, Bitcoin scam, Bitcoin this, but it's going to evaporate. So I was kind of in that vibration of like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. This, pretend fake digital money. Right. So I basically told him, watch out, I'm not going to get involved in this. It looks a little scammy to me, but that was just from not a deep research. That was just for basically following the herd on a community that I'd been following for a number of years. But then it just, kept coming back to me. Right. It's in one way or another, right? And so finally, I read the white paper, and it just made sense. I was like, wow, that's new, that why not, So
Yeah.
At that time, I sold the business to my vice president, invested a portion of that into Bitcoin at a nice time to buy Bitcoin.
How much was it? Can I ask? How much was Bitcoin when you first bought it?
It was right around 250 the first time I bought.
Nice. Yeah.
And then and I was fortunate enough to get on the Ethereum train, not too far after that. So I saw it, and then I was also seeing success within this asset group.
Yeah.
And so I've just been really focused on the whole crypto space. I believe it. I see it. I really don't think it's going to be one token that rules the world. I don't think that's smart to begin with.
Yep.
So I think diversity and a network, a decentralized network of different projects coming together and forming something that's truly unstoppable, other than just one network.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at right now. But
I think that's
but that's the jumping off point to, and it's interesting that Uplift Nation has come for me at the bottom, what I think is hopefully the bottom of the crypto market right now after this 2-year long bear market.
Let's get into Uplift Nation a little bit first, but just to kind of play things back a little bit, you and I, of course, met when you dove into the EOS.io space. I know that you heavily invested in EOS.io, made some smart decisions early, did exceptionally well. And when I first met you, I was working on another project, and you were like, hey, I'd love to do a video for this project. And I remember kind of, first meeting you, you're very unassuming, you're very down to earth, you're very approachable. And you do like a lot of really good videos. I'll make sure that I throw your website links below. You do some really amazing content about kind of the economy, EOS, just different things that happen. And it was really cool to get to meet you and start to interact with you kind of when you really came in. And you came in for a different reason than a lot of people did. You weren't seeking more money, you were just invested, and you were trying to kind of help by creating content, about the various things that you believed in, the different causes. And you've done a lot of content on projects that I've worked on. We've of course become friends. I've watched your channel blow mine out of the water, and you do some really great stuff. Your editing is really good. But more so than that, I've come to really appreciate you because you're a good human. And I think that one of the things that you're doing, which this is all kind of leading into, is of course United Nation. But I didn't really know what United Nation was. I just
Uplift Nation.
Uplift Nation. Sorry, United Nation. I'm so sorry, man.
But we also go by UN for short.
Exactly.
So we're trying to kind of co-opt that, right, and make the UN brand a really positive one. I mean, some people may consider United Nations as a positive brand, but there's a lot of also negative connotation to UN. So we're trying to spin it. And so we want to own the UN, the Uplift Nation version.
Uplift Nation. But I remember watching one of your videos. I apologize for that. I remember watching one of your videos, and it was on Twitter, and it was shortly after you had gone to Haiti. And it was a video that you had done that kind of described the journey and some of the things that you had seen there. Now, Uplift Nation is, as I understand, it's kind of a blockchain-based foundation, which we can kind of get into a little bit as well, where it's kind of a charitable place where you're helping to fund various causes, right? And I remember watching this one video, and I'm not like a super emotional guy. I'm pretty approachable. I get along with people. I like to joke, but I remember watching this video and I shed a tear. I actually literally I felt something inside of me because I was talking about your journey and about these kids and the adoption process and kind of what you wanted to do. And I literally stopped me dead on my tracks because it was beautiful. It was touching. And I thought that it was really cool because I know who you are as a person. I know your background, and I know what you're trying to do is motivated on kind of one thing and one thing alone. You've made it to a spot in which you are comfortable and you're happy. And I know that it comes from your heart because ultimately all you really want to do is kind of maybe leave a little bit of a legacy and help people. What is Uplift Nation? When was that aha moment when it came to fruition, and what are the plans for the future?
Wow. Well, I guess the aha has been building ever since that. I recently in September spent my 50th birthday with Islande, who's our 8-year-old adopted daughter who's still in Haiti. We're trying to finish the final paperwork and going through the courts to actually bring her home. So I wanted to spend it with her. And it was on that trip where I found out that my driver in Haiti was actually a orphanage director. They're called creches in Haiti, but just so people understand, creche is an orphanage. Yeah. So, he was driving as a side job in order to earn enough money to feed his 18 children that was in his care. And so on my last day, I asked if I could, stop at his creche and, just say hi. I in the back of my mind, I said, well, I know a lot of people in, America that may want to help, right? So, that was my back of mind. So maybe if I can get some pictures and some video, maybe I can share it with some friends and maybe some people can help, with his need. So I went there and it was just, this really, torn down, no glass in many of the windows, and just, you could smell the mold, right? The mattresses, and, it's just not a place where you want to live, right? Especially children. So, my heart just grew and grew and grew. And, I'd already given away all my gifts that I brought to Haiti, the food and the medicine and the games and, the toys. And, I was just like, oh my God, if I would have known, about this, I would have saved at least half of that and saved it for here. But, all I had was a bag of cashews left. And so I shared that with all the kids, and they were so grateful to receive 2 or 3 or 5 cashews, right? And, I had no idea whether or not they even knew what a cashew was. So I got video and I took pictures, and, I interviewed Harry, who's the orphanage director. And so it was that trip, and flying home and thinking about it, thinking, I'm in a position to help these people, right? Like there's got to be, within the blockchain space, there's got to be a way to help these people in a perpetual way, to where it's not just like, giving once and then you're done, right? Like, good, but there's got to be a way to build a machine, right? With the staking and these utility tokens, and there's way to create bonds, and, there's got to be a way to create something that's just perpetual, that's just spitting out these rewards of goodness to communities and people that really need it. Yeah, man. And, another thing that I've learned over the years, and, I guess it really depends on how you're looking at this and what your philosophy is around this, but I would much rather, the old adage, you can either give a man a fish or you can teach a man how to fish, right? And give him a pole and stuff like that. So I'm really of the mind of, of giving or helping people find the skills and the resources in order to learn how to fish, right? Yeah. And they'll have that, also that self reward of accomplishing something and doing it and being self-sufficient. And so, I mean, in certain cases, of course, there's a need to hand out for handouts, right? There's always a need for that. But my big calling is to, how can we create, sustainable tools and a network of the sustainability and perpetual, growing. So that's the main focus. And so since coming home, the name Uplift Nation, came to my mind, and, wow, that's a powerful word. That's a powerful name, right? And carries a nice energy, and, it feels hearty, and it feels, everlasting. And, thinking of, the EOSIO and all the innovation and the kind humans that are just attracted to this space. It was just this, it was just amazing how much support that this idea got, from that first video that I did. Yeah. And so, really, and right now, like I said, Francesca's in the other room kind of reworking and organizing the mission paper for Uplift Nation, which has gone through 2 iterations already. Yeah. a lot of really thoughtful, smart humans are coming around to define exactly how Uplift Nation works, right? And what the vision is, what the, what we're going to be laser focused on. And so, as in a high view, what we are is creating a network of verified nonprofit charitable projects that are all on chain to one degree or another, right? So, for example, we can Haitian Roots is one Utah-based nonprofit. They're also an NGO, and they work exclusively in Haiti, right? Yep. They're based in Utah, but they're exclusively focused on Haiti, building schools in Haiti. And so I'm kind of an ambassador for that because I know them and I've been nurturing that relationship. So my responsibility as the ambassador for Haitian Roots is to get them on chain, right? To get them their EOSIO Haitian Roots account, to give them the tools to how to understand what this all means and the value add to their industry, and to get them excited about it, right? So then we have the Uplift Nation account, and indirectly, connected with, Haitian Roots account, right? Is maybe the first string on this massive network that we're going to be creating.
Why is blockchain so good for charity? I mean, I think I have some reasons, but why do blockchain and charity fit together so well? I believe that they do, but what's your opinion?
Well, the transparency, the accountability, can you imagine a world right now? You live in a world of, you send a donation to a cause that you see advertised on TV, right? Like the poor kids aren't getting enough food, right? So you go to their website and you push your $25 donation, and you just kind of, hope that it goes to that advertised need, right? Yeah. But the deeper I've looked into this is that legally, nonprofits, they don't have to send the funds to the advertised need that they're advertising, right? So they can have this huge campaign push about feeding the kids in Ethiopia, but not a single dime has to go to that cause if they don't want to. They can divert it to something else, right? Yeah. And they don't have to disclose that. They don't. So. But not only that, but there's just layers and layers of corruption within the whole charitable space. Yeah. And it's not pretty, right? It's a place that's very ripe for a cleanup, right? Agreed. And so with that being said, with all of and we've heard about the different charity scams, I'm not going to list them, but we've all heard them, right? It's unnecessary. In today's world of technology and transparency using blockchain, we can pretty much clean the majority of that up if we implement it correctly. And the tools are just getting better and better every day. It's exponential growth in the sector, as you know. So can you imagine a world where you can give your $25 or your $10,000, right? And you can basically track that to its final intended use, right? Its need, right? Like you wanted to build a water well in, Uganda. Well, you can see the progression of that from when you paid it to the progression of on the Uplift Nation portal. You can track that charity because that charity will have its own page on Uplift Nation, and it'll be uploading, receipts, financials, 12-second video clips of the first children drinking from the water well. You'll have your own legacy wall within your account, which can be transferred to a family member to keep it. It's a living wall that's on blockchain. So all of your charitable good deeds through your lifetime are on there, from the water project to feeding the children to building the school to this and this and this. It's all logged, NFTs, description that's yours, but can also be handed down inherited by your children, so that they can continue this legacy wall and add to it and try to outdo the generation before.
Yeah.
But also corporations can have their own legacy wall with all of their, charitable givings, and, they can post their badge of good deeds, right, if they want to, or, if that's not important to somebody, they don't have to display their badge of good deeds, right? But, in our society, a lot of people want to, show, like, look at how good I am,
I don't know about that. Like, I mean, I agree with you. It's unfortunate, but it's kind of like this duality. Like, I would rather that people are motivated by something to be able to give. However, in my opinion, I generally respect the people who give because it's just within their hearts to do so. But of course, we know that anything that incentivizes people to do good things in whatever form, however it happens, it doesn't matter. As long as those good deeds are being done and money's being given to people who kind of deserve it and can use it, however you have to gamify it, however you have to make it work, you just got to make it work, because we're not worried about the journey. We're worried about getting that end result, which is ultimately helping people, right? Which is a beautiful thing. So if corporations want a big wall where they can display all of their badges and all their good doing and people are being helped, then I'm all for it. I'm all for gamification and whatever you guys have to do to get them there. I think that that's really cool. Mostly, I love this project because I know you, and I know how much time that you put into it. I know you have an incredible team. I'm going to make sure that I post all the details. I'm going to post your website, all of your details, because I want people to be able to call you up and get involved. But for me, the reason why I wanted to do this interview with you was because I know you're a good human. I know where you're coming from, and I know that this is more than just, for you, this is like, you really care, man, deep down. You don't have to do this. You know what I mean? You're not doing this to have bragging rights. You're already comfortable. Life is good. You just want to leave a legacy, and you've seen things. And I've seen things too, particularly being in South and Central America and the way that certain people live. And I think when you come from North America, it's really easy to just put the blinders on. You know what I mean? Like, generally speaking, people kind of, and I know that there's obviously, poverty there as well, but to think, for me, the thought of waking up and not having anything to eat in the morning is just, it's so surreal. And it's, it just doesn't, most people don't live with that kind of a reality, but the kind of people that you are helping do live with that kind of reality. Something that I've seen a lot of. And I just think it's really cool that you're using blockchain and you're using your influence and you're using your experience to gather a really intelligent, good group of people to create something through blockchain that's going to potentially change the world, man. I love it. That's why I wanted to do this interview, and that's why I wanted to sit down with you, and why I wanted to promote it, because I know your ethics and I know where your intentions are. And I just think that it's cool, man. I think it's really cool to see somebody using the technology to do this kind of thing. Totally agree with the way that you've described blockchain being effective for this. It makes perfect sense. Transparency, traceability, you know exactly where your funds are going. I just think it's awesome, man. What does the future hold for Uplift Nation? I know you guys are just kind of getting it off the ground right now, but what's the 2-year game plan? What's the 5-year game plan? What's the 10-year game plan?
Well, we are a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. Yeah. In the beginning stages, right? So that's not built out yet. We do have a multi-sig wallet on EOS currently. We're trying to figure out how to create a multi-sig wallet that can handle multiple chains at the same time, so that we don't have to have multi-sig on every major chain out there, but we can just have everything kind of go into one and be managed by the DAO, which is essentially, it's a community governed charitable network. Yeah. So if this sounds like something you or the audience wants to help build and be a part of and be a voice of, come aboard. That one of the links to our Telegram channels will be in the description. Absolutely. But yeah, so we're building it. We're looking for passionate humans that want to do good, to step on in and have fun with us, play, help us build this bad boy out, and just see how good it can get. We're gonna make our mistakes and stumble, but our intention is to learn from that and have it make us stronger and better. But the future, we're working on the mission paper, VR 2.1. And what we're really wanting right now is to get the eyes and ears of Block One and be incorporated within voice. I mean, can you imagine a charitable component within the voice platform to where there's also educational content that's uplifting, inspiring, but also, you know, I have this vision. There's so much great innovation in the world. Yeah. From, you know, I saw somebody creating a free energy machine out of an old washing machine, right? And we've got innovation on how to purify water by just using your natural surroundings, right? And to being able to make, you know, ecological, nice sound homes out of using literally garbage and tires and stuff off the street that is actually clean and really well done. I mean, there's some really exciting innovation out there that's outside of the, you know, technology hub of, you know, of code, right? Yeah. But, you know, practical innovation of, you know, what can be done with natural resources in your environment to do X, Y, and Z, right? So I see this educational hub that could be tied to voice, and maybe it's a sub account of voice somehow, to where people can share their innovative ideas and approaches to you know, cleaning water, to building a home, to, you know, creating a fireplace made out of wood that's lined with ceramic or something, you know? Yeah. So there's all these really cool approaches to life, to getting things done that most people wouldn't consider, but some guy in Ghana came up with this really cool way to, you know, tap two rocks together and snap your fingers and you got something, right? Yeah. So I want to create a hub where people can share this innovative ideas and teaching tools, as well as insights, inspiration that just helps uplift, you know, the human predicament. But, you know, kind of like how we're perceiving voice to work, you know, the more valuable that content is within Uplift Nation, you know, the more that content producer is rewarded. So now you've got some guy in Venezuela that has this really innovative idea, now making an income from it, right? Yeah. So that's kind of a component of Uplift Nation that I'd like to see integrated. You know, but can you imagine inside this voice ecosystem, one, you know, the voice and the B1 team would add, you know, instant, you know, I don't know if I want to use instant credibility, but instant resources to drive Uplift Nation vision much farther and faster than it could go without that kind of support, right? Yeah. Because they have the team, they have the knowledge, they have the financial resources to really put a, you know, supercharger in this, you know, Volkswagen, you know what I'm saying, at the moment. So, you know, that would be a beautiful thing to be able to just supercharge this thing, get some really good mentorship, you know, behind the scenes, you know, legal advice, because I know that they've got, you know, some good legal understandings with all their lawyers and the things that they've been involved in. So I can only imagine the kind of guidance that we could get. And at the same time, I'm sure that they've already thought of this to some degree or another, like, you know, maybe not per se the word charity, but maybe how can we do good in this space, right? And so I would love to partner with them on some level, because I think they could bring just a really valuable component to this. Yeah. But we're going to present this to them in one way or another. But if they should balk on this for whatever reason, then we're going to build it anyways. We're going to build we're going to build our own voice, right? You know, we'll figure it out. We'll gain the partners. You know, we're attracting some really beautiful human beings that I know you are, that have connections that, you know, can really make this, and, you know, we'll be supercharged one way or another, right? We're not putting all our eggs in the B1 voice basket, but we know that that's the low hanging fruit right now. So we're really going to be, you know, kind of pitching around kind of that scenario. And what's the value add for Block One? I mean, think about it. We're going to be building out a charitable network using EOS.io. So we'll be expanding the network that they've launched, they didn't launch it, but they, built the initial code for it. We're going to be expanding that network with on-chain, charitable projects and organizations. How valuable would that be, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when it's just very robust, right? Yeah. And you have this, this charitable network that's transparent, accountable, and think of all the businesses and the individuals that would be their go-to, right? Because if they're going to give money, they're going to give it in such a manner that they know where the hell that money is being used for, and they can verify it, right?
Absolutely, man.
So, we don't have all the tools in place, and the technology is not all there yet, but there's enough, right, to get this baby started in a very meaningful way.
Agreed.
And to grow it, and then just to add on the extra components.
And the way that it gets done versus the way that you think it's going to get done are never, that's what I'm learning in my, obviously in my career, working on blockchain and working technology. The way that you think it's going to go is never necessarily the way that it's going to go, but it always goes. You know what I mean? Like the cool thing about blockchain is that it's iterative. You build, you attract people. I've seen the caliber of some of the people that you've actually attracted to this cause. I think it's incredible, man. We've been talking for a little bit over an hour now. So what I'm going to propose to you, I know it's so easy. You and I spend a lot of time on cam anyway. So
I'm sorry, I rambled on in the beginning.
No, you did, dude. It was beautiful. I think it was amazing. Like, that's the story of MBlu's life, man. And getting to know you over the last little while, getting to know, like, a lot of people come on, they start YouTube channels, they get a big head, you know what I mean? And they, start making weird demands. They get this massive ego. You did the exact opposite. You came in, you cared about projects, you were genuine, you were sincere. You've already had a fair degree of success in your own life. You started using YouTube as a medium to be able to pick up projects that you love and causes that you love. And ultimately, it's boiled down into this project. I know for a fact, I don't know if you're comfortable with me saying, I can edit it out later otherwise. I know you've put a considerable amount of your own wealth into this project already. I know where your head is at. I think that it's cool that you've used your influence and you've used the things that you've done, and you've used some of your background to attract good people and to build this by yourself. I would personally be honored if we could have an interview every couple of weeks, just do a little update on Uplift Nation, because I know the caliber of the person that you are, and I want to see this thing grow. I think it's a beautiful cause. I think it's a great use for blockchain. And man, I appreciate you. People are going to laugh and tell us to get a room, but I've been, I appreciate what you do. I appreciate who you are, man. And I think it's cool. So if we could sit down, keep doing updates kind of as this thing evolves, and I'm going to make sure that I put all of your information below as well. And I really thought that the whole, who is MBlu? I learned a lot today, actually, that I didn't know before. And it was a cool story. So I would love to keep doing this with you, keep doing updates, man, and just talking about some of the noble things you're trying to tackle, because your head and your heart is in the right spot. And you're a hell of a guy, man.
Thank you. Matt, I really appreciate that. Yeah. And anytime you want to talk, I'm here. So absolutely. This has been a real pleasure. I wish you the best, and thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure, man. And I'm going to be having you on again. You're stuck with me now. Everybody's going to want to hear how Uplift Nation is starting to evolve. So we'll keep doing these, man. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you, brother.
Okay, buddy. We'll see you soon.
Okay. Ciao. I am word with the intention that Uplift Nation grows to be this enormous force of good and goodwill, attracting good-hearted humans to help build this, manage it, govern it, create content for it, make connections. I want to see Uplift Nation grow to be this powerful force for good within the world, with enormous support, not only from Block 1, EOS, EOS.IO communities, dApps, and builders, but from the world, from individual donors to corporate donors that also want to embrace good and do goodwill for others and good works. My intention is to see Uplift Nation be this dynamic, beautiful, resource-rich, educational-rich platform that allows this unfolding of a charitable, transparent, and accountable network of goodwill, to where donors can see the fruits of their labor being broadcasted throughout the communities of the world that they feel passionate about helping. I want to see Uplift Nation be celebrated and looked upon as a model for good, a model for others to follow, open source, and taken to the next level by the next community. I want to see Uplift Nation be a path forward for other industries to follow and to foster transparency and accountability and goodness and goodwill, and to incorporate their resources and tools across the globe to do good works and to uplift those that need uplifting, to create hand-ups as opposed to handouts, to help create beautiful tools that enable the people that need it to become healthy, self-reliable, and foster sustainability that's just beautiful and in harmony with just plain old goodness. And finally, Uplift Nation to be a joyous community full of goodwill, good-hearted people, respect, kindness, and the humility to make mistakes, but to learn from those mistakes and to allow it to push us forward and further, bigger, deeper, better, more gooder than ever. Word I am word with these intentions, word I am word, so be it, so it is. Thank you, Infinite Source Self. Thank you, God. Jiha. The Jiha is just kind of something me and my boys, my wife made up. Is kind of instead of saying amen, it's just kind of like a Jiha. You know, it's kind of like the closing statement, our own little, you know, exclamation on the end of an intention statement. So anyways, I just wanted to get that out there. MBlu wants to do good, wants to have fun doing it, wants to attract a beautiful, dynamic, smart, savvy, caring, compassionate community that has the ability to bring together answers, solutions to problems, and to implement them in such a meaningful way that it's just a big hoorah! Yeah, baby, let's do it. Let's have fun and get it done. Until next time, y'all stay awesome. Ciao.